Have you ever dreamed of owning a beach house in Boracay, a cozy villa in Cebu, or a retirement home overlooking the Manila Bay sunset? Now imagine this. You've worked hard your entire life, saved enough money, and you're finally ready to move to the Philippines only to find out you can't own land. Wait, what? That's right. As a foreigner, you can't legally own land in the Philippines. You can buy a condo unit, yes, but not the land it stands on. And this one rule, this single restriction, has shaped the entire real estate market of the Philippines. It's created booming condo towers in every major city, sparked debates about ownership and control, and even influenced how cities like Manila, Cebu, and Davao have developed over the past 2 decades. So in this video, we're going to unpack why foreigners are limited to condos, how this affects property prices, local housing trends, and foreign investments, and what it means for anyone dreaming of calling the Philippines home. We'll explore the history behind the restriction, how some buyers try to get around it, and whether condos are still a good deal, especially with the rising number of unsold units and Airbnb restrictions. Stick around because the truth might surprise you, especially if you're thinking of investing here. This isn't just about property law, it's about how a single rule built an entire skyline. Let's start with a big question. Why can't foreigners buy land in the Philippines? It all goes back to the country's constitution, specifically the 1987 Philippine Constitution, which clearly states that only Filipino citizens or corporations that are at least 60% Filipino-owned can own land. This rule wasn't made to discriminate against foreigners. In fact, it's rooted in history and national protectionism. You see, during the colonial periods, first under Spain, then the United States, massive portions of Philippine land were controlled by foreigners and wealthy elites. After gaining independence, the government wanted to ensure that Filipinos, not foreign investors, would control the country's natural resources and real estate. The idea was simple: keep ownership local, protect national identity, and prevent foreign domination of land and property. But of course, as the economy globalized and the Philippines opened up to tourism and foreign investment, that rule started to clash with reality. Expats wanted to retire here. Overseas Filipinos married foreigners. Global companies wanted to expand, but the land restrictions stood firm. So, lawmakers created a loophole, or rather a middle ground, in the Condominium Act of 1966, Republic Act number 4726. Under this law, foreigners can own condominium units as long as foreign ownership in the building does not exceed 40%. So if a developer builds a 100-unit condo tower, up to 40 units can legally be sold to foreigners. It's a compromise. Foreigners can own property, but not the land beneath it. That's why condos have become the gateway for foreign investors and expats. If you've been to Manila recently, or even just looked at photos online, you've probably noticed something. The skyline is exploding with high-rises, from Makati to BGC, from Ortigas to Cebu IT Park. Condo towers are everywhere, and that's no accident. Developers realized early on that the 40% foreign ownership rule made condos the only legal investment option for non-Filipinos. So they built around it, literally. In the 2000s, when the Philippines started gaining attention from foreign retirees and overseas workers, the demand for condos skyrocketed. Developers like Ayala Land, Mega World, SMDC, DMCI, and Robinson's Land built thousands of units, marketing them not just to locals but to foreign investors and OFWs who wanted rental income or a retirement base. Condominiums became symbols of modern living and global lifestyle, complete with pools, gyms, and 24-hour security. And for foreigners, they were the perfect loophole. You could legally buy a property, rent it out, and even sell it later, No messy land ownership issues. But here's the twist: this flood of demand also changed the housing landscape. Developers started focusing more on condos for investment, not homes for living. That's why in Metro Manila, you'll often find entire condo buildings where only half of the units are occupied. The rest are empty or used for Airbnb. And as more foreigners and investors bought in, prices went up. In prime areas like Makati or BGC, a one-bedroom condo could cost as much as an entire house in the provinces. So yes, that 40% rule didn't just limit ownership. It shaped an entire industry, pushing developers to build vertically, not horizontally. Now let's get real. Buying a condo in the Philippines sounds simple, but there's more to it that meets the eye. First, when you buy a condo, you're technically buying the unit and the share of the land and common areas through the condo corporation. That means you don't directly own the land, you just have a slice of the property's legal structure. Second, condos have a lifespan. In the Philippines, most condo ownership is considered good for 50 years, after which the condominium corporation can decide whether to renew or dissolve and sell the property. If the majority of unit owners vote to sell the land, say to a developer for redevelopment, even if you disagree, you might have to comply. So unlike buying land, condos don't last forever. And that's something many foreign buyers overlook. Then there are the association dues, monthly payments for maintenance, security, and amenities. Depending on your building, that could range from 80 pesos to 150 pesos per square meter per month. For a 50 square meter condo, that's 4,000 to 7,500 pesos monthly, even if you don't live there. And if the building needs repairs or upgrades, owners might face special assessments, one-time fees that can cost hundreds of thousands of pesos. Plus, with the rising number of short-term rental bans in many condo associations, some foreigners who plan to earn from Airbnb have found themselves stuck, unable to rent their units legally. So while condos offer ease and legality, they also come with hidden costs and limits. Let's zoom out for a second. How have foreign buyers actually shaped the property market in the Philippines? The answer, significantly but in subtle ways. Foreigners make up only a small percentage of total property buyers, but they have an outsized influence on pricing and demand, especially in high-end developments. Developers know that foreign investors often pay in cash and prefer prime locations, so they build more luxury condos aimed at that market. That's why we've seen a surge in projects in areas like BGC, Makati, Cebu IT Park, and Mactan, places with strong expat and tourism appeal. And here's another twist. Even though foreigners can't own land, many use Filipino spouses or corporations to indirectly acquire property. For example, if a foreigner is married to a Filipino citizen, then they can buy land in the Filipino spouse's name. But if the marriage dissolves or the Filipino spouse passes away, the foreigner can't inherit the property. They're required by law to sell it. Others try to form corporations that are 60% Filipino owned and 40% foreign. Technically legal, but heavily scrutinized by the government to prevent abuse. So yes, foreign demand has helped fuel development, but it's also created a bubble risk, especially when too many condos are built for investors, not residents. And as we've seen in recent years, oversupply is becoming a real concern. Vacancy rates in Metro Manila have risen, developers are offering discounts, and some projects have slowed down, partly because the market catered too heavily to investors, including foreigners, rather than end users. But let's be fair, not everything's negative. There are still plenty of reasons foreigners love owning condos in the Philippines. First is because of ease of purchase. Buying a condo is straightforward. You can pay in installments, and many developers cater specifically to foreigners. Second is low cost of living. Even with condo dues, living in the Philippines is often cheaper than in most Western countries. Third is great locations. Condos offer convenience near malls, hospitals, airports, and business districts. Fourth is community and security. Most condos are gated, have guards, and offer a sense of safety that appeals to retirees and expats. Fifth is rental opportunities. In tourist-heavy cities, condos can generate decent returns when managed properly. And let's not forget, many foreigners simply fall in love with the country. The warmth of the people, the culture, the beaches. It's not always about investment returns. For some, it's about lifestyle. So even with legal limits, the emotional value outweighs the financial restrictions. But here's the million peso question. Will the Philippines ever allow foreigners to own land? There have been discussions about it, especially among economists who argue that relaxing ownership laws could boost foreign investment. Some lawmakers have proposed charter change to amend the constitution and make property ownership more open. But politically, it's a tough sell. Many Filipinos still believe that land should remain in Filipino hands. So for now, nothing is changing soon. However, we are seeing some creative developments. Some developers now offer long-term lease options up to 50 years, renewable for another 25, giving foreigners near ownership level control without breaking the law. Others structure deals through joint ventures or corporate partnerships that comply with the 60-40 rule. In other words, while full land ownership remains off limits, the market continues to innovate around it. So what does this all mean for you, the foreign buyer, the expat, or the curious investor? It means that in the Philippines, ownership isn't just about buying property, it's about understanding the rules of the game. You can't own land outright, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy life here. Invest wisely or build a home base. It's about adapting, just like how developers adapted by building condos. Because in the Philippines, real estate isn't just business, it's culture, history, and emotion all mixed together. And maybe that's what makes it so fascinating. The rule that limits foreigners from owning land didn't just protect the country's sovereignty. It defined its skyline, attracted global attention, and shaped a modern urban life. So the next time you see a gleaming condo tower in Makati or Cebu, remember that building exists because someone, decades ago, decided that the land beneath it should remain Filipino. And in a way, that law made the Philippines exactly what it is today. A nation proud of its roots, yet open to the world. So, would you still buy a condo here, or would you wait for the rules to change? Let's talk in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with a friend who's thinking of moving to the Philippines, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into property, finance, and life in Asia. Until next time, this is your guide to living smart, living free, and living global. See you on my next video. Ciao!